Hey there, my name is Kelly Dale and I'm owner of Off the Beaten Path, which is located in Forest City, North Carolina. For today's video, I'm going to teach you how to make a net stitched embellished bracelet. I'm going to be doing one color for the bracelet so that I won't get anybody confused with the steps, but you can do 2 colors, 3 colors, all the way up to every bead can be a different color if you want to. But for the basic bracelet, you're going to need about 11 grams of a size 11 seed bead, 201 4mm bicones, size 12 beading needle, 5 grams of a size 15 seed bead, about approximately 6 yards of 6-pound fire line, and a clasp with 3 holes. So get your materials together and we'll get started. To begin, I've threaded my needle onto 3 yards of fire line, and I've used a size 15 to make a stop bead, and I've only left a very short tail. You're only gonna be using your size 11 seed beads to start with, and I'm gonna show you the sample. This is what I'm going to be showing you how to make today. This has 3 colors. It has, and I use Thunder Polished Crystals. This has silver, jet, and hematite. So this is the top, and this is the bottom, which we're going to be making to start out with. So you're not going to need any crystals to start, just your size 11 seed beads. Here's another sample with 2 colors. I used a aqua blue and a sapphire blue for this one. And again, you can see the base that we're going to make. And then this is my favorite one. This is actually a rainbow colored cuff that I made. I used Swarovski crystals on the top, and then again you can see the base. And my 3-strand pearl clasp that I used for the bracelet. So there's a lot of design options to it, and you're only going to be using the 11s to start with. And you want to thread on 22 size 11s. And you want to double count those to make sure you have 22. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22. Okay, and let those drop all the way down to your stop bead. I'm going to work back towards the stop bead. I'm going to skip 9 beads. Let me get my thread here. Okay, so skip 9. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 9. So skipping 9 beads. And I'm going to go back up through the 10th bead. So that when you pull, it'll look just like this. I'm going to pick up 5 11s. Skip 5 beads. So I'm coming out of 1. I'm going to skip 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I'm going to go through the 6th bead. So that when you do that, it'll look just like this. I'm going to repeat that one more time. I'm going to pick up 5, skip 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go through the 6th bead. So that'll be the bead right before the stop bead. So that when you finish the row, it'll look similar to this. Now you're ready to start the next row. So you're going to pick up 6 11s. So 6 beads. I'm going to work back towards the bottom So I'm going to go through the third bead added in the previous set. So here's my 5 that I added. So I'm going to go through 1, 2, and 3. Just going through the third bead of that previous set of 5. I'm going to put my finger on it and pull. So that you'll look just like this. You want to pick up 5 11s. Skip 5 beads and go through the 6th bead. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go through the 6th bead. Or my easiest way of thinking of it is you're always going to be going through the middle bead of the set of 5. And we're going to do this one more time. We're going to pick up 5, skip 5 beads and go through the 6th bead. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go through the 6th. I'm going to work back towards the other way now. I'm going to pick up 6 11s. And I'm going to go through the third bead added in the previous step. So here are my 5. So 1, 2, and 3. And we'll pull it out so you can see it a little bit here. So on the ends, you pick up 6. In the center, you pick up 5. So I'm going to pick up 5, skip 6 beads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or skip 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go through the 6th bead. Or, like I said, go through the middle bead of a set of 5. We're going to repeat that one more time. So we're going to pick up 5, skip 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go through the 6th bead. I'm going to show you one more row because it's just a repetitive thing over and over and over. Pick up 6. Go through the third bead you added. So 1, 2, 3. It's that middle set of 5 here. Pick up 5. Skip 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And go through the 6th bead, or that middle bead of a set of 5 here. Pick up 5, skip 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go through the 6th bead. And you will want to continue these steps until you reach the desired length of the base. I've now completed the length of my actual bracelet. I want a 7-inch bracelet, so I have made right at 6 1/4 inches of beadwork. And when you get ready to finish, make sure you finish in the same style as the beginning of the bracelet. You see here in the beginning, I have a high and a low circle, and here at the end I have a high and a low circle. So if I had a stop bead here, these two ends would look exactly the same. You want it that way so that when we add our clasp will be in the correct spot. So I've got to get into position to add the clasp. So I'm going to stitch around, and I want to be coming out of this fourth bead here at the bottom. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I want to be coming out of this bead right here. So to do so, I'm just going to stitch through my beads to get there. You just don't want your thread to show. So I'm just zigzagging through my beads to get there. Alright, and I want to be coming out of the fourth bead. Now I'm going to show you how to add the box clasp, but you can use any kind of clasp you want. Here is my box clasp that I'm using. It has the 3 holes on each side, and you press the tab to pull it apart and push it back together. The box clasp I'm using measures approximately almost an inch. So that'll tell you what kind of size you're going to need. But what I'm going to do is I'm coming out of one side of the size 11. I'm going to go up through the end hole of my clasp, pick up one size 11, let it drop. I'm going to skip the 11, and I'm going to zoom in here just a little bit for you. I'm going to skip the 11, go back through the clasp, and then come back through the same 11 I'm coming out of to make my circle. And then I'm going to reinforce this several times by going back through the clasp, through the 11, back down through the clasp, and then through the 11 again. Now for the second one, you kind of have to offset it just a little bit. You are going to count over 6 beads, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and, oh, sorry, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to come out of the 6th bead. So just stitch through your beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you want to be coming out of that middle bead here on the end. I'm going to go up through the second clasp hole, pick up an 11, go down through the clasp hole, and then back through that same 11 again to make my circle. And you can go through these several times to take up, so that I won't take up so much time just going back and reinforcing in the actual video. I'm only going to go through these twice, and then I'll go back and reinforce. Okay. And then for the last hole, you want to be coming out of this third bead from the end here. So I'm going to go through 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going through 6 again to exit out of the hole there. Go up through the hole, pick up an 11, go back down through the hole, and then back through the 11 again. And go through it to reinforce it. And when you get to the other end of the bracelet, you're going to do the other end exactly like this end, being sure that you start and stop on those same beads that we started and stopped with, so that when you get it done, this is what your clasp will look like. And you're ready to actually start your embellishments. So to do that, what I want to be doing is I want to be coming out of this bead right here on the end, the one that is just the single bead right there pointing downward. So I'm just going to go through 2 more beads here. And down through this end little bead. It'll put just a little tiny thread there, but that's okay because you're not really going to see it. You can stitch back through beads if you want to come back and go down through that one, but it's not necessary because you're just going to have that one little tiny thread. Now you're ready to start the embellishment, so you're going to need your size 15 seed beads and your 4 millimeters. Coming out of the last bead here, I'm going to pick up a 15, a 4 millimeter, and a 15. If you look, you have beads that are straight like this one. You have this one, and this one. They're what I call connecting beads. So I'm going to take my needle and I'm going to come right through the very next connecting bead and pull it so that my bead pops into place and covers up the hole. Pick up a 15, a 4 millimeter, and a 15. And I'm going to go through, skip my hole, and go through the next connecting bead. Now for the last one on each row, it's done just a little differently. You're going to pick up your 15, your 4 millimeter, and your 15. And you don't have a connecting bead here. Your connecting bead is here on the next row. So you are going, here's your connecting bead, count back 2 beads, 1, 2, and you're going to go through those 2 beads and your connecting bead. So those 3 beads right there. And pull. So that when you pull, it lays into place like it should. Now you're ready for the next row. 15, 4 millimeter, and 15. Skip the hole. Go through your next connecting bead. Pick up a 15, a 4 millimeter, and a 15. Skip the hole. Go through the next connecting bead. Pick up a 15, a 4 millimeter, and a 15. Again, our connecting bead is over here on the next row, so I'm going to count back 2 11s, 1, 2, and I'm going to go back through those 3 beads, the 2 beads before the connecting bead and the connecting bead, so that when I pull through, so that it looks just like this. And I like, when I'm just sitting here working on it myself at the house, I'll work on it like this, straight across. You know, either way will work. Skip my hole, go through the next connecting bead. So that way you just kind of go straight across. Now you can work either way, it doesn't matter, whatever is comfortable for you. If you're going to do a pattern, you'll most definitely want to try and work straight, so that way you can see, or sideways like this, so you can see your pattern. So picked up a 15, a 4 millimeter, and a 15. Skip the hole, go through the next connecting bead. And one more time, a 15, a 4 millimeter, and a 15. Here's my connecting bead. I'm going to back up 2 beads and go through those 3 beads to finish out that row. So far, this is what I've got. Now, if you look at the patterns here, on this one, I started out with a blue, an aqua, and a blue. So when I go to the next row, I'll start out with a blue. Blue, aqua, blue. So that way, my colors are running in a diagonal such as this. Come up to the next row, you'll be able to look and you'll be able to tell your diagonals to see what you're doing. This one is a little bit more complicated. You have to pretty much use a color chart, make your own little color chart, and kind of follow your color chart, because each row you're going to be picking up different beads. And if you purchase the pattern, I do have different charts that you can fill in for the different colors. So you want to complete the top of the bracelet, and then add the clasp here on the end, just like we did on this end, and you'll have your completed bracelet. I'm about halfway through my bracelet and I'm running out of thread, and I get this question all the time: how do you add thread? If I wasn't using these size 15 seed beads here, I would tie a new piece to this thread and I would keep going. But since I'm using the 15s, it'll be hard to get through. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my thread and I'm going to go up under the thread between the bead I'm coming out of and the bead right next to it. And I'm going to completely tie this thread off with a couple of half hitch knots. So again, I go under the thread between the two beads that I'm coming out next to here. Leave myself a little loop, stick the needle through the loop, and pull. Now, I'll go ahead and trim off this little tail here, and I'll take my fire line take your fire line and cut you your new pieces here. And I'm probably going to do about 3 yards, 2 to 3 yards. And I'm going to thread my needle on. And the easiest way to start it back is that I'm going to go under the thread here between my last bicone and size 15 seed bead. I'm going to leave myself a tail, and I'm going to tie these two pieces together. Once I have them tied, I'll take this tail and stitch it through these beads here, and then I'm going to take my working thread. I'll go through the crystal, the 15, and then through my beads here that I would normally go through along the edge. So and now once I do that, I'm ready to start working again, picking up my 15, my 4mm, and my 15, and just continuing with the piece and putting my clasp on it. I've completed the bracelet and I'm to the very last bead. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come and I'm going to go back to like I normally would, but instead of having a bead there in the center, I don't have the bead. So I'm got 2 beads before the center bead, and then I'm going through the 2 beads after that. So count back 4 and go through 2 basically. So that when you do that, you're exactly where you need to be to start adding your clasp. So I'll take the other side of my clasp and I'll go ahead and I'll leave them connected for now. And I'll stitch through the hole in the clasp. So this way you're making sure that you don't get it messed up. Got my size 11. I'm going to go back down through the hole in the clasp and back through the same 11 I'm coming out of to make a circle. Well, there we go. So that when you pull, your bead now sits exactly where it needs to. So you reinforce, and like I said, you know, same thing on the other side. I'm not going to reinforce this a lot. I'm going to go back after the video so that way I won't take up a whole lot of time. So now I'm going to go back through the bead I'm coming out of, through the 2 beads left there. Make sure I don't get that thread caught. Through my little center bead that you can't hardly see anymore. And through 3 more beads. I want to be coming out of that middle bead there. Okay, I'm going to do it again. Go up through the hole in my clasp. Pick up your size 11 seed bead and go back down through the hole in the clasp. Back through the bead. Well, having a hard time getting through it that direction. Let's spin it this direction and see. There we go. Okay. And then I'll reinforce, stitch through 6 beads, and then add, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll actually stitch through 7 beads. 7 beads to come out of this little end bead here and add the last part of the clasp. I've got that last bead added, and I'm going to take my little 15 here that I had for my stop bead, and I'm going to pull that 15 off the thread, and I'm going to stitch to where the thread is coming out there. And I'm going to tie these 2 threads together into a couple of good knots, stitch through a few beads, and trim the tail, and I have the bracelet complete. So I hope you guys enjoyed learning how to make this net stitch bracelet. If you had problems following the video, we do have the pattern for sale in our Etsy store, as well as kits with the pattern in our Etsy store. Be sure and come back next week for a great video, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye!